Next up, we have Masa Prastalo, who's our partner manager at Adyen, and Brian Mapley, who are going to talk about a topic from startup to stratospheric on how businesses are using payments to drive growth. You know, we're seeing a lot of movement in the payment space. So yeah, I look forward to listening to the talk from Adyen. So I'll pass you over to Brian, and between Brian and Marsha, they're gonna walk you through some lovely slides, and we'll hopefully have time at the end for some questions. So please, I request that you put your questions in for them, and then we can spare some time at the end to answer them. Thanks very much, and over to you guys.
Thanks, Yannick. Welcome, everyone. I hope everyone is enjoying Meet Magento UK 2021. A massive congratulations on its 10th year. It's awesome to see all the great speakers and subjects on offer today, and Adyen continues to be a proud sponsor of this great event. Today, we're going to talk about how the smart use of payment technology can be an obvious opportunity for creating memorable, flexible experiences that attract new customers and build loyalty with its existing ones too, in turn driving growth. Welcome to Startup to Stratospheric. Let me introduce my partner in crime, Masa Prastalo, who's a channel manager, partnership manager at Adyen, and myself, obviously, Brian Mapley, who's head of mid-market sales.
Perfect, thank you, Brian, and thank you to JH for the most incredible gift box ahead of today. So wearing my anniversary T-shirt, so thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. I know that the people all over the world signing into this today, so really exciting. So yes, we're just going to take you through some slides. And we'll start with the idea of experience. So we all know that customers are becoming increasingly demanding, I think is safe to say, and retaining those customers is becoming even more important. But why are we seeing some retailers succeeding and others are struggling? And we feel, and that, you know, if you have a look at the way things have kind of developed, it's really that experience that merchants are providing their customers that are setting them out from the competition. So we are in the age of experience, and making sure that you're really investing in that customer journey and that customer experience is what is going to get those customers returning, and more importantly, spreading the word and helping you grow. So it's not just about the products, it's not the commodity. I think there is so much competition out there that, you know, people can find the same products that you're selling somewhere else or potentially cheaper, but really it's that experience that keeps them coming back. And unfortunately, one bad experience means that potentially they won't come back again, or they'll leave you a bad review, and all of those things really do hinder growth. So COVID has, no doubt, we have to mention it, the C word, accelerated e-commerce, and has really forced retailers to be quite flexible in the way that they operate their customer journeys. And we think that that's going to stay. I think trust and safety has become really important to customers, and we've seen a lot of merchants adapt their customer journeys to be a lot more agile and a lot more flexible. And we want to talk about really how payments fits into that, and how using payments as a strategic tool rather than just a commodity can really open you up to new markets, new customers, and returning customers as well. So because we've got a wide variety of merchants, and we've got a really wide portfolio, we thought it might be interesting to share with you some trends that we've seen across the Adyen platform, especially with the kind of devastating effects of physical stores being closed. And before COVID, you know, people were very happy to pop into their local store, and many retailers, believe it or not, had no online presence whatsoever, or a very limited online presence. And all of a sudden they found themselves unable to sell through their usual channel, and they had to adapt really quickly and ramp up their e-commerce operations. Where we saw merchants succeed most is where they had the correct infrastructure. Get my words out. Infrastructure to do so, and really working with the right tech partners. So choosing the right platform, for example, Magento 2. Working with system integrators such as JH to really help them on that journey and hold their hand. So we did see previously that point of sale and e-commerce tended to kind of deliver the same. Whereas then when COVID hit, not only people say e-commerce boomed, it didn't quite boom, it sustainably grew. And that sustainability and the way that it grew implies that actually it's not going to dip back down, but that actually it's here to stay. Brian.
Cool. So what does the digital transformation mean for retailers? And I'm going to cover 3 key points over the next couple of minutes. So wallets, international, and pay by link. So how can retailers lead the charge and ensure that they're not just creating memorable digital experiences, but the experience their customers expect? So payments has to be the key. With the wallets, do you accept Apple Pay? Do you accept Google Pay? But not just online, but offline too. They're leading the way people choose to pay. And in particular, more and more people are loving their convenience. For instance, did you know that 59% of all UK consumers are concerned about the hygiene of payment terminals and prefer to pay contactless payment methods? And that plays into the hands of wallets like Apple Pay and Google Pay. And when it comes into international, the quickest way to ensure growth is to make sure you're offering international payment methods of choice. So many times over the last 8 years, I've been speaking to merchants who've said, Brian, I want to start taking payments across Europe or China, and I just need to accept cards, right? They couldn't be more wrong. Merchants need to understand that each country and each region may not only have its own currency, well, we all know that, but they also need their own set of payment methods. There are over 250 different local payment methods globally. So you need to show only the right ones at the right time with the right countries. If, for example, you wanted to take payments in Holland, cards only would be crazy, as over 75% of the population only want to pay with Ideal. Ideal is an interbank system. This could be said for other countries across Europe, with Germany, for instance, preferring buy now, pay later methods like Klarna, or open banking methods like Soforth or GiroPay. You can even go further afield and it gets super interesting. As to accept payments in certain countries, you definitely need to offer the local payment methods of choice. In China, for example, you need to be offering QR payments like Alipay and WeChat. Shoppers now are focusing merchants to become savvy about local payment methods and are driving the change so merchants are having to offer different local payment methods in the different regions. There are also a difference between offering the local payment methods and offering the right ones that shoppers want to shop with. A payments partner should know the most successful and the most popular ones in each country, as these can often change. The wrong set of local payment methods on your checkout will see the drop-off, shopper drop-off and lack of conversion. Let's have a quick look at Pay by Link. Whether you want to send a link by email or take an order over the phone, Pay by Link is easily adaptable and a great way to encourage new customers. Pay by Link is a pop-up hosted checkout. Made this easy, and there's now something that can be used in store too. And let's have a look at some great customer examples.
I was just going to say, Brian, it's when you kind of look at payments and how influential payments is in the whole customer journey. So when you think about the amount of time and money and effort that retailers spend into the look and I'm sure Janek will agree, into the look and feel of the site and making sure that all the products are there and that they look good and that they're appealing, and then, you know, invest time and money into expanding into other regions, all the while perhaps not keeping in mind how critical payments is and making sure that actually once you get them to check out, they have a really good frictionless experience and that they're able to use the payment method that they're comfortable with. Because when we have a look at payment methods, and we have a look at, you know, the trends and statistics on the platform, you're more likely to attract customers because they will trust your site, they recognize the payment methods that you're offering. And also, interestingly, I found it was quite interesting that they are more likely to spend more because they have that trusted payment method available to them. And if you think about adding all of that on top of all of the work that's invested in the look and feel, I think that's a great way to gear towards growth.
100%, Marsha, totally agree.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at Brompton then. So a great story of international expansion is Brompton Bikes, the British-made bike brand. Brompton have experienced huge success in Asia, where they have found a devoted following. So just kind of rewind that a bit. Brompton were selling B2B, but moved into the B2C market across all channels with Adyen. Local market knowledge was used to localize the customer experience with geo-based personalization for the website, the support of global payments, and the use of the most relevant channels for each market. In China, for example, WeChat is an important shopping channel, and consumers think nothing of ordering an expensive bike via a mobile app. So Brompton set up a WeChat store and accepts WeChat both in-app and on its e-commerce site. If we look on to the next merchant that we have that we want to talk about, which is Monica Veneda. So again, Monica Veneda have used Adyen previously for all of their across all channels, but as a jewelry retailer, they also used pay by links or payment links to sell to customers during live chat sessions. So rather than just being just an e-commerce, they went through live chat to make transactions. They used it to cover additional additions to existing orders like shipping upgrades and services not available through its website, such as repair services. So again, allowing that customer to pay by any way. The flexibility of pay by link allows you to reach your customers in ways that you have not imagined. And the more customers you reach, the faster your business grows.
Definitely. And it's the tech partners that you're choosing to work with. So a payment provider, for example, really, we would encourage you to ask your payment provider questions in terms of what can they do for you and what should they be doing for you. And I think, you know, one of the things that we focus at Adyen is moving away from those legacy systems where it's just all processing the payment, but actually is your payment provider advising you about regional information that's specific to how you then choose to expand and which areas you choose to move to, what data are they able to provide back to you, and how you're using that data then to inform your future decisions and your future strategy. So really, you know, don't be afraid to push your tech partners on what they can do for you, because there is a lot that they can. So we just wanted to leave some key takeaways with you today. And I think it's pretty obvious to all of us that digital is here to stay and will continue to go stronger. As we said earlier, it wasn't really as much of a boom as it was a sustainable kind of shift towards e-commerce. And we saw people who never previously bought online, including Mama and Papa Prastalo, all of a sudden getting orders and boxes and calling me and going, what do we do with this? You know, people perhaps that weren't previously shopping online now are. And also, you know, if there are any merchants listening to this who have physical stores as well, we're seeing a merge between the physical and the digital. Remaining flexible is going to be really important. And as we said, some of those customer journeys that were born out of necessity are really, really good customer journeys that customers will expect to stay and keep moving forward with that. Growth is all about how you engage with your customers. So as Brian was saying, those payment methods are so crucial, and we see, you know, hundreds of you know, merchants every year that we talk to that say they don't know why they failed in a certain region, and it always tends to come down to the fact that the payment methods for that region were not available. So really understand how you're looking to grow and what your strategy is for expansion. The pandemic, so another key takeaway, yes, we've been propelled into like this cashless society now, and really ask yourself, you know, are you agile enough to survive another potential, you know, wave of change? Where we saw the most success were the retailers that had the ability to be able to pivot, that had the correct infrastructure in order to be able to start opening new channels or selling in another way. So have a look at your infrastructure and say, okay, if something was to change tomorrow, how would we deal with that? And really prepare yourselves, because I think we've all learned that you know, anything can happen. And growth is really all about experience. So if we're talking about taking your startup from startup to stratospheric and taking your sales to sky high levels, I'm going to try and think of all the flying analogies, then it really is time to have a look at that experience and invest in that experience and making sure that you've got speed, you've got a frictionless experience. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to get your customers to come back and, more importantly, tell everybody how great you are. So that's from us today.
Great. Thank you very much, Masha and Brian. I'm seeing, I think I've got a few questions that's come through from the audience. If you don't mind, I'll give you a quick nudge on them. So the first one that's come through is, how do you go about choosing the right payment provider when there's a lot of competition around? Like, I know this payment is a big thing at the moment, and obviously everyone's gone online and everyone's looking at innovative ways of taking payments. It'll be good to, you know, see your thoughts around that, especially for a lot of merchants that are listening in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm happy to give my 2 cents, Brian, and then if you want to give yours. I mean, it's really about identifying your needs and what it is that you want to achieve. So, you know, there are lots of different payment providers in the market, and some will perhaps be a bit more suitable if you're selling one type of product, you know, domestically in the UK, and you're not looking to expand or grow significantly, and you're just kind of happy staying in your lane, which I don't think many merchants would say that that's their strategy going forward. But really understand what it is that you need, and then drill down the payment providers that you're talking to in terms of what can you offer. Are they a future-proof solution? Are they going to be able to guide you through, you know, your period of growth? And then also make sure that they are going to have the capacity to take you, you know, even further than that and maintain you to when you get to that point. So yeah, ask the right questions. Sure.
Anything to add on to that one, Brian?
Yeah, I think future-proofing is the key, right? So again, can they take you international? Can they take you omni-channel? And they're the two really key features, I think, is when you're thinking about your payment provider, because again, you don't want to be then moving across to another payment provider to then add point of sale or to add all of those lovely juicy pay methods that we talked about that are going to drive revenue for you. So again, someone that's going to future-proof you right around the globe.
Sure. I think that segues into a good question that's come up is what has been the biggest struggle for some of your merchants in terms of the ones that have grown or scaled? Because like we often get people that or clients that kind of grow naturally, which has been great, especially through this this period of the last 18 months where everything's been online. But we're now getting back into probably an in-store setup, you know, maybe different methods of paying, you know, over their phones, you know, having stores that have no tills, you know. So yeah, I guess, you know, have you seen any struggles of that sort in terms of any of your merchants that are scaling?
Yeah, I think, Yannick, for me, the struggles that the merchants have seen is their payment provider hasn't been able to stay up with the curve, especially during the pandemic when stores were closing, people want to go further online, adding additional payment methods, etc. And if the payment provider wasn't ready for that, then obviously that stunts the growth of the merchant as well. And then they're scratching around then for another solution. So I think that has been a struggle for merchants. But as they looking to grow out of the pandemic, again, is the payment provider ready to take them where the merchant wants to be?
Sure. I guess another question that's come through is really around Apple Pay, Google Pay. I know you touched on it earlier in your talk. It seems like we were talking about this last year, and you know, it was something that, but it seems like everyone is just catching on to it, right? And everyone is like, well, why are we 12 months behind, or you know? But how's been your uptake on Apple Pay, Google Pay?
Yeah, we've seen a huge uptake. It's almost like it's exactly as you said. We've been talking about it for over a year now, and then all of a sudden it becomes hot topic. And I think there is still this learning journey about, you know, something different is happening at checkout. And I think some regions in the world are a bit more advanced to alternative payment methods, and they're a bit more comfortable with them. Whereas I think in the UK, the first significant kind of change at checkout away from, you know, cards was probably Klarna and that kind of buy now, pay later method. So I think it's something, once it catches on, which I think has now, because of the kind of global situation that's kind of pushed everything forward, they're not going anywhere. And actually the reality is that there's probably going to be more and more payment methods that emerge over the next couple of years. And, you know, you don't want to be missing out on shoppers because you're not offering those payment methods. It's as simple as that. And this is what Brian was saying about, you know, working with a payment provider who will keep you ahead of that curve, who will be able to advise you, you know, we're seeing an increased use of this payment method. Have you thought about, you know, offering it at your checkout? It's just those kinds of things that really do make a difference and keep you ahead of the game. It's adapt or die, I think.
And where possible, obviously, everyone now wants to, with the pandemic, no one wants to touch anything. So again, as much as possible, you just need to touch and go, touch and go, touch and go. And I think that has really driven the use of wallets.
Yeah, there's a question that's come through from the audience around, you know, what do you think the next 12 months look like for UK retailers? Because I know in one of the opening keynotes, when they start talking about different generations, you know, and on how they shop and different behaviors. Have you guys had any feedback or done any demographic analysis on different behavioral changes in shopping? Like, I guess, well, what does the next 12 months look like?
I think, again, Brian, you chime in when you want to, but I think it's going to be that the bar has been raised, I think, and it's going to be a case of, you know, those that are doing really well will continue to do really well. And I think those that are still on that journey of understanding, you know, how payments, you know, can be used as a growth strategy, you know, lots of other different things in terms of how they can improve that customer journey. They're going to have to get up to speed pretty quick, because I think those journeys that were born out of necessity are really, really good journeys. And I think the retailers that are doing well are doing those journeys well. So I think it's a race to keep up with everything that's changed over the past kind of 18 months. So I think there's going to be a lot of innovation and a lot of creativity and a lot of really new, cool stuff that merchants will be doing.
Yeah, I think as customers, right, I think we expect better and we demand better from everything in life. So I think, and again, that same with payments. And if you ask my daughter who wants a new pair of trainers every week, then, you know, things like the buy now, pay later payment methods are crucial because you've got to try and, you know, keep up with demand. So I think that is going to be a big change. Yeah,
we are seeing buy now, pay later, quite a big, you know, they're showing quite a high uptake and increase in the way that it's the stats are projecting. There's a question around, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it, is does Adyen have an integration with Magento too?
Yeah, so we build all of our integrations in-house, and we've had a Magento integration for many, many years now, and that includes Magento too, and we've got over 1,000 merchants on our Magento plugin. And the cool thing about, again, for building in-house, the plugin comes with all the Adyen bells and whistles, so that comes with all of those lovely payment methods that we've discussed, whether they're the international ones or the UK-based payment methods. And again, that really helps with that integration, because then it becomes very much a plug and play. And then you're ready to go, and that's why SIs love working with Adyen. Yeah,
I guess just to elaborate on that, because there's one integration that then you guys can hook into everything else, and you look after all the alternative payment methods, if that's the right word, in different regions. Do you want to elaborate a bit more on that? Because I think that's quite a big part of your proposition, right?
Yeah, and as we mentioned it in the talk earlier, right? So again, when you're looking at over the 250 alternative payment methods, you've just got to know which were the right ones for the different regions. And I think, again, that's where Adyen really comes into play, because again, we know from our data, that lovely rich data that we get off the back end of in which countries, what people want to pay with. So we're not going to overload a checkout with say 10 different payment methods when we only realize that perhaps only 3 are the top 3 that are going to be used in that particular country. So again, it's having that data, knowing what to do with it, how to share it with the merchant. And again, by having that integration, we can then pass all of that data back to that merchant, so then they can start making their own mind up about where's the next country they want to go to, what payment methods do they want to offer, and again, can they then use that data to provide any loyalty?
Yeah.
From a more practical kind of aspect, previously merchants would have to go and contract with that payment method, and then their system integrator or their in-house development team would then have to integrate that payment method into the checkout. So, you know, if you're looking at offering, I don't know, 10 additional payment methods in the regions that you're selling in, that's then more contracts to manage, that's more integration work that needs to be done. Whereas all of the payment methods are built into Adyen already, and we manage the contracts on behalf of the merchant. So the merchant contracts with us, but is also able to offer, for example, Klarna or Apple Pay or Google Pay or whichever payment method is the one that they're wanting, which just makes it really easy. So when we say one integration, that's what we mean, and you know that sits then across our global reach. So that is definitely one of the highlights of Adyen.
Yeah, well, we see that often, right? Because when you have to do additional integrations, it does mean that you know, it costs more to do these, and then it's to manage them. So if there's one point of, you know,
we like to say one throat to choke, things are going wrong, which hopefully they don't, but when they do, it's that consolidation piece that's really important. And we actually had a merchant that we're speaking to recently that's seen a huge amount of growth, and they've actually acquired a lot of other businesses, and they're now kind of sitting under a group, and they're having an absolute nightmare trying to pull everything together. And you know, this one is on this payment gateway and with this acquirer and this, and actually it's you know, almost impossible to manage. So if you are gearing for growth and you are, you know, looking to really get your business up and running in a way that is sustainable and future-proofed, is to have that single point and single source of truth that you're then able to manage, and you don't need to worry about, you know, consolidating everything and worry about payments. We'll worry about that. You can worry about growing your business. Yeah,
there's been a question that's just come in now, which has asked, are there any key payment methods to be aware of in the North American market? It's kind of putting you guys on the spot.
Yes, well, we have, to be honest with you, yes, there probably is, but I wouldn't know them off the top of my head, because there are so many that there are literally hundreds. But what we can do, if you go onto the Adyen site, on the Adyen website, you're able to have a look at the kind of payment methods per region, or alternatively, our contact details, I'm sure, will be shared after this, so you can reach out to us directly. I don't know if you know them, Brian.
So there'll be a couple of wallets in there, but again, the US, very much like the UK, has always been very card centric. But again, as Marsha said, we can share those details.
Yeah, maybe I'll link you up with the person that asked the question, and you know, you can help them understand that a bit better.
Definitely.
Okay, I think that's about it from my side. I think the questions have come down. Is there anything else you guys want to add before I do a close up?
No, thanks for having us, Yannick. We've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for being part of this. You know, it's always a pleasure talking to you. It feels like we only did this yesterday in a previous talk. So yeah, no, we're really grateful, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day.